I'm wrestling. Do not weep for me. Celebrate what I am. Celebrate what I have been. Celebrate what I represent. And celebrate the many ways I have impacted your life. I will survive this test as I have survived others. I am forever etched into the very fiber of all mankind. The world needs me. Time is on my side. History guarantees me. I am wrestling. Do not wait for me.
What's up, everybody? This is Ben Askren, and we are on episode 37 of the T-Row and Funky Show. Our last episode 36, it turns out you guys loved it. The ratings went way up. That was the top 10 American wrestlers of all time. We've gotten lots of feedback. So, Tommy, you got any feelings about the feedback you've been getting on that list, or what?
I mean, it sounds like more people think I'm right than you. I mean, other than that.
You know, people, they're not at my level, so they had a hard time wrapping their mind around the Kyle Dake.
I'm getting a lot of congratulatory, remarks on text message and Twitter and Facebook and all kinds of stuff. No, but seriously, I think our viewers for the first time had as much fun as we did.
Yeah, it was good.
And so I'm happy about that, and showed with the amount of listeners we had, which was cool. And then, I just think it's a cool list. I don't think it gets talked about enough. I think we need to transcribe our list. We could talk about it more. We should make some other lists.
I told Piles to transcribe it. And I know we're going to do a college top 10 after the Olympics. I got a good one for you I was thinking about today. And it might be a way to throw myself in there. Because I don't think I make college top 10. Sad, I know.
Well, how about I was going through mine, Ben, which we're not going to do tonight, but sure. I was going through mine, and you might make mine. I haven't decided yet. You're close. I'm close. You're close.
Hey,
you're on the teeter.
Okay, you know what? You know one that I think I can put myself on, and maybe let's think what we should do this one. But it is also very systemized. So is top 10 college seasons ever. That would be a fun one.
You'd be in there. Actually,
do some research. I mean, but. Obviously, like Dan Gable's junior season, that was pretty historic. A few of David Taylor's seasons were pretty freaking amazing. But that would be fun. I would actually like doing some research on that topic because it would be interesting to see how dominant people were in the past.
Yeah, no, I would love to do that.
Who do you think? Who else comes to your mind right away? I would like to check out
most dominant season.
Wade Chalice and Gene Mills, because obviously they're number 1 and 2 in pins, so they had to have some very dominant seasons. But I don't know what their records look like exactly, so I'd have to try to go back and research that.
I think we need to think more about that. Man, I want to do that. I do want to do that, but that takes a lot more research.
You got to put.
I think a lot of people will be calling me out.
Put Mark Neiman on that one, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, give me your top 20, and then you can sift through it and see what you think. I think there was a heavyweight named Howard Harris from Oregon State maybe, and I want to say he got like 42 out of 48 pins in a season, something insane like that. Because I always remember my senior year, I was trying to kind of match a season like that, and I remember thinking like 42 of 48. Good God, how did he pin?
Pretty amazing.
People? It really is. Really is.
So what do we got, man? What do we got on tap tonight?
Well, we got Olympics. So we've been through the entire Greco portion and the entire freestyle women's portion. We got men starting tomorrow. So there's JB and Dennis are up tomorrow morning.
Which means nobody's going to listen to our podcast tonight.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably throw up some time tomorrow. But I think this is a good break for us because we get to hit the first two styles, and the next week we can kind of focus mainly on the men's freestyle, which is where I think our listenership. Kind of would lean towards men's freestyle more than the other two styles. But we did have a gold medalist today. So
yeah, and I do want to say, Ben, before we get into this, because I think we've got some similar comments because we shared what we thought of Greco and women so far. I mean, we don't talk about them at all. We made that choice, so I don't want us to appear as experts because if we were, we would have brought up the Olympic trials and things of that nature.
Sure. Well, I mean, I might not be an expert, Tommy, but I still got some opinions.
And you know a thing or two about the sport.
Wow. So where do we start? The first 3 days were brutal. We were actually people don't understand.
I mean, every day was brutal until today, and today was
semi-brutal.
I would say today was emotional.
Emotional, yeah. So, yeah, let's just start with today because today was a good day. Obviously, Helen Maroulis, congratulations. That's the first women's freestyle Olympic gold medalist.
Pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And you know what? A lot of people thought it was going to be Adeline Gray, including myself. She's been very dominant
Thought
recently.
she was going to get it done. I mean,
I'll tell you, I turned on. You got to work for real. But I get to play around on my computer and watch matches.
You're working for real.
Well, yeah.
What you did was for real.
Intermittently, I work. So, but I can turn my work off for a wrestle match here and there. So, Tommy, I'll tell you, I turned Adeline Gray on her first match day. It was an early match, and I saw this look in her eye. And I'll tell you exactly who she looked like. She looked like Cael Sanderson in the 2004 trials.
In Indianapolis.
It's this look of, oh shit, everyone thinks I'm supposed to win. This is too much pressure. I don't really want to be here. And you know, I don't know that.
I mean, I don't know if you can say that it's happened to you, Ben, but that's happened to me.
Really? So.
Yeah, not a lot, but it's happened to me, yeah.
When? What was the match?
It happened to me my freshman year of high school at the state tournament.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that everybody expected me to win or wanted me to win. I'm just saying that I underperformed because the pressure got to me.
Wow.
That's the biggest one for me. It's happened.
I've underperformed for at the Olympics. I definitely underperformed and the reason there I think was I was too aggressive and had bad strategy.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I wouldn't say. I know that I underperformed at the '08 trials, but I wouldn't say it was because the walls were closing in on me or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I think I felt my freshman year of high school, and like I think you say, Adeline might have looked. All I'm saying is that it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot.
Definitely. And so, but you know what? It kind of appeared to me because Helen didn't have the same burden on her. And I want to say, I think those two are pretty close. I don't know for sure, but I think they are. I almost wonder if some of the pressure that was on Adeline relieved some of the pressure that was on Helen because Helen didn't compete with the same burden that Adeline did. And you could just tell Adeline wasn't, and I haven't watched 100 of her matches, but I've watched enough to know that typically she's more aggressive than she was today.
And Adeline was the favorite.
Yes.
I don't think Helen was the favorite, obviously. Yeah. So that changes the whole dynamic too.
Yeah, that definitely does. And I want to say Adeline won the last 2 world championships at the same weight class. And Helen was at one of those weight classes where it was split. I think she won at 55 kilograms last year, and then the weight class this year was 53. So she came down, and Yoshida was obviously the best ever. I guess apparently I don't follow women's wrestling, but everyone was saying she was the best ever. But all day, Helen was very aggressive, very tough, very stingy with her positioning, and just she was in there to fight, and she got it done. It was a great performance, all around. All 4. I believe she had 4 matches. All 4 matches that I watched of hers, I was impressed with her.
Absolutely. I got to see some of the highlights. I have to admit I haven't watched any of the matches because I went right from work to just kid stuff.
Your boys started school. That's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
We got a bunch of stuff going on. So anyways, I've followed religiously. I've read all about it. I feel like I've done everything besides watch the actual match. And from what I'm gathering, what you're saying is all true. Seems like Elena, who lost in the bronze medal when she was up 3-0 and got headlocked, was somewhat defensive today, not overly aggressive like she has been in the past.
So I haven't watched enough of her to know how aggressive she is or is not, but she definitely was not aggressive today. She was even losing her first match and came back and scored 4 consecutive crotchless for 8 points to win 10-5, I think, in that first round or somewhere in that area. Or maybe it was 10-7. Maybe the girl got a takedown at the end. But she definitely was not very aggressive, as I was seeing. So, but overall, women's gets a gold medal. That's fantastic. Obviously, I think a lot of people.
I hope that NBC does something with it tonight. What's your prediction?
Yeah, I would say they do because I think Helen's also got a look that's very marketable. Meaning she's very pretty. I mean, that's marketable. You don't have to lie about that.
Ben, saying nice things.
Well, it's true. I mean,
I tend to agree with you, and Sadly, that matters in terms of what NBC's putting on
That
the tube.
matters.
So, I mean, I shouldn't say sadly, just,
That's just a fact of life.
That's the way it is. So
some people want to know.
I'm hoping they film her.
Yeah, I would say
that'd be good for us as a sport.
It would. I think. I mean, and being the first one ever, I think they will.
I'm in, man. Let's do it.
Okay, so the first 3 days, Tommy, they were not quite as good as today. And I don't know about the Greco. I'm not a huge fan. It tends to be kind of boring. And the other thing I hate about it is that there's so much refs discretion. I mean, in a lot of the American matches, I felt like it was like, okay, this guy's stalling, put him down. Oh, that guy's stalling, put him down. And there was not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. And I want to say that even the Ben Provisor match, he was winning 2-1. I believe he had a push out and a caution, and the other guy had a push out maybe. And he had just gotten, so in Greco, it's a caution, it's a warning the first time they're passive. Second one, it's caution and a point, and they have to go down. There's forced parterre, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's more aggressive. He's getting this guy wore out, and they put him down, so he's up 2-1. Or they put the other guy down, he's up 2-1. And I feel like Ben was pushing the pace again. I mean, he was putting the pressure on, right? And
the whole, I mean, my beef, it stinks that the Americans didn't do good at all, but to the point you're getting at, it's just an arbitrary wrestling match when you watch Greco, to me.
Yeah, well, that to my point. So then I felt like Ben was pushing the pace just like he was before the last time. So then they said Ben's stalling, and they put him down, and I'm like, what? How did that go?
Yeah, it's just arbitrary. I was at a school function that my daughter and son are going to go to. Their school starts next week, so we were at an open house or something, eating pizza with all the parents and stuff like that. And I had a friend of mine who was an all-Ohio baseball player and just a smart guy, loves watching sports, loves watching the Olympics. And it's funny how he talks about Greco, Ben. He watched it during the day on the tube.
Yeah.
And he said, he appreciated wrestling so much without knowing what was going on or knowing the rules at all.
Yeah.
And so in a sick and twisted way, as ashamed as I am of the fact that he didn't know what was going on or how the points were scored, to me it shows the nucleus of something that can be marketable if presented properly.
Yeah.
Well, because you've got a grown man watching a sport in just basically awe of what's happening, even though he doesn't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
so it's like, in a way, it's like, yeah, we don't have any fans, and I got a guy that didn't even know the names of the wrestlers and just said but he was also speaking about it in admiration. And I don't think he was blowing smoke. He's a friend of mine, so if he thought it stunk, I think he would have told me.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, not related to our podcast, but to me,
well, it's all related because
what's disappointing is that I don't even follow the Greco rules. I mean, I'm always asking questions in my own head to my buddies to the left and right of me.
I called Joe Warren yesterday, freaking Greco world champion. And
right.
He was very skeptical of the rules. He's like, they just changed them again. It's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, I mean, we're talking a Greco freaking world champion.
Yeah, there you have it.
So, so this Provisor match, so they put him down, and he gets freaking lifted and thrown. And so then he's down 6-2. He puts the rush on. They give another caution in one, so it's 6-3. Then the guy's stalling so bad, the ref on the mat goes caution in 2, right?
Right.
But then they didn't confirm it, and then the match is over. But it was like, I just couldn't understand why he got put down. And that's obviously where the Americans struggled. Robbie Smith also I think he was winning. And then he got put down and got gutted 4 times. And same thing as Provisor. I sure thought he was being more aggressive. And I know they're very specific about where you put your head and whatnot. But to what I was watching, Smith was being the aggressor, and they just put him down because, like you said, it's arbitrary. They got to put somebody down. And
it's just arbitrary. I'll tell you, let's talk about something in Greco that's just amazing.
What's that?
Mijan Lopez.
Well, you just like him because he's a heavyweight.
I don't like that. Listen, that dude, he's 33 now, and he's still a freak. He just won his 3rd Olympics.
How many world titles? Well,
eight golds.
But he sold a few of them.
I don't know if he sold many.
Yeah, they said he sold that one against the guy he had in the Olympic finals. They said he sold that one in Turkey. I want to say 2011, maybe.
I mean, it's not going to shock me. I'm not trying to say that it doesn't happen with Cubans and Eastern Bloc countries. I'm just saying I didn't know he got a silver. Anything he got a silver in, I feel like he got bought.
Yeah, seriously. No one's beating
That's
him.
how good he is. He got a silver in 06 in Istanbul. He got a silver in Guangzhou. That very well could not be a bought title because that was very early on in his career.
Let's see this. Well, he won 08. Okay. Keep going.
He got silver in Istanbul in 2000.
That was the one they said he got paid for.
Well, that was when he was in his prime. And this guy.
Who the hell did he lose to? Who did he lose to last year?
I feel like even now, but like when Lopez was in his absolute prime 5 or 6 years ago, I think, and I don't know much about football, Ben, but I think you could put him on the defensive line on day one in an NFL football game and say, Mihayan, go get that guy that's going to get the ball. and I think by the end of the game, you'd be saying this dude's going to the Pro Bowl.
Don't
you think?
I don't necessarily. It might take more than one game, but I disagree with the concept. No, not at all. I mean,
yeah, maybe one.
Another thing, people, and it's been rumored, but obviously it's not true. It's been rumored many times that he was going to Florida and he was going to train MMA. Which, I mean, that guy in an MMA ring, good God. Oh, my God. So he lost to the Turk last year. He got paid off twice. He lost to the Turk in 2015 and 2011.
That's the dude he beat.
Yeah. He got paid.
Like 6 or 8 to nothing, right?
I'll tell you what happened yesterday then.
Tell you what I like about Mihayan, though, the best is that he's not for sale as much as the other Cubans.
Well, no, I'll tell you.
Look at all the golds he has.
Okay, but I'll tell you.
He could have taken $50,000 every year. You know what I mean?
No, it's a negotiation, Tommy. Here's what happens. Like in 11, they say, "Hey man, we'll pay you $20,000," and he says, "All right, cool. Here's the gold medal." Then in 12, he's like, "Well, this year it's going to be 100," and they say no. He's like, "All right, I'm beating all your asses then," and then and then in 14 he beats them again because they didn't offer the right amount of money. In 15. Well, they're probably okay. This is a Worlds, not an Olympics, so we'll give you like 70. And he's like, all right, fine. And then last week they're like, okay, 2 days ago they're like, how about 100? He's like, it's gonna be 200 this time. And then they balked and they said, all right, you're gonna lose. That's how it is. But he didn't wrestle in 2013. What happened there? He got hurt or something?
No idea. I think that was the year where there was rumors, but it wasn't publicized that some Cubans got busted for doping.
No, they got busted for throwing matches. That was when Salas got suspended, remember?
Okay, so well, there you have it. Maybe he had to sit one out.
For 2011 maybe.
Yeah.
Because I believe Salas set that year. Oh, no, Salas took, well, he was 13.
Listen, this dude, if he goes 4 more years and he lays out 3 golds and a silver, couldn't you argue that he had a better career than Karelin?
I think we're already getting very close. I mean, Karelin won 3 Olympics, correct?
Yeah, he won
88,
a lot
92,
of
96.
He won a lot of worlds. He got silver in the last tournament of his career. I think Karelin still has had, results-wise, a better career. I'm looking it up right now if you can't hear me.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why he wasn't there in 13. Mihail Lopez didn't show up. Hey, so what do you see? I'm sure you've seen on social media somewhere a few of these guys posting. They post Cuba's weight room, and it's just this.
I've been to Cuba 3 times.
Yeah, I was there once. So I mean, right? So we're the kind of moral of the story is you don't need a fancy weight room to freaking win. So what's your thing? Why is Cuba so freaking good? And it's like Japan. Why is Japan so good at women's wrestling? They're not that good. They're not bad at men's or Greco, but
I mean, if I could pinpoint it and I could sell it, I guess I'd sell it to the American wrestling leadership. I mean, it's somewhat of a riddle, right? But
sure.
If I were to look at the 2 biggest reasons Cuba's successful, it'd be one, socialism. And socialism in the sense that they yank these athletes, they identify talent at a young age, they pull them out of school,
sure,
and they train them like dogs until they're great. And the talent pool is rich. So when you implement that system and you live in a society like that, you know, you can yield results. Now, to say that these guys are robots and they don't have a passion to be successful and a passion to win, I mean, that's not true either. These guys are fierce competitors. I'm not trying to say that they're manufactured robots off of the assembly line, but I think that Cuba is a country where free will is not necessarily present. So in the beginning stages, in those critical ages of development in athletics, they pull these kids out and they take that assembly line approach, and Cuba gets results because of it. Is that fair?
No, that's definitely fair. And obviously, well, you talked about some of the social issues, but obviously there's something wrong with it when you're seeing all these guys defect. I mean, Yoel Romero defected. Hector Lombard, who's a judo Olympian, now an MMA fighter, defected. Chamizo defected. I heard
Alexi Rodriguez. He had like 8 or 9 world medals in my weight class.
And I heard Fundora, the guy who beat me in the Olympics. I heard he
Ivan
defected.
Fundora, he defected.
Did he? Okay.
I think Yandro Quintana, who won the Olympics in 2004 at 60 kilos,
He
the
was
weight
a
class.
beast. Yeah.
I think he's defected by now. There's tons of them that defected. I would bet $1,000 that Lopez defects after he's done wrestling.
So I mean, I think that says a lot about their society. When I mean, the GDP per person is very small, and these guys, especially when they're getting paid off for some of these tournaments, are making significantly more than your average person, and they're still leaving.
And they well, here's the thing: they get to travel the world. They see freedom.
Yeah.
They see it. They taste it. And I think that's the struggle that the Cuban athletes have, because Cuban people, well, one of the reasons they don't defect is because they live on an island and they can't. They don't have the means to. But, these athletes defect because they figure it out. They see what they don't have. And so they bounce.
Yeah. Definitely.
We are bouncing.
We're all over the place. Me and you got ADHD. I got ADHD, so it's not too big of a deal for me. What did you think about Cuba? What was your experience there? Holy crap! I'm looking at world results. Did you realize in 2014 Russia won 5 weights in a row in men's freestyle?
Yeah, it's amazing.
What the freaking heck?
That's amazing.
Good God. Okay, what did you think about Cuba?
I thought it was I've never had a more unique experience overseas than Cuba, and I would love to go back.
Really?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, it was a collision of cultures, a collision of, poverty, riches, history, Caribbean climate, unique people, amazing people, sadness, a sad, destructive, governmental policy, 90 miles away from the most democratic, free market, free world country you could think of in the U.S. So just all those things intrigue me. So when I'm at Hotel Nacional drinking a mojito after the Cerro Pilado tournament, maybe having a Cuban cigar, looking over the promenade in Havana, Cuba. I mean, I feel like that's one of the cooler moments in my life, to be quite honest. Wow. So I can't wait to go back. I mean, what did you think? What did you think?
I had a good time, but I wouldn't say
what I said.
I wouldn't say it with the same passion or vigor that you said.
I gave a pretty ringing endorsement.
It was cool because it was kind of like a time warp. You see all those old cars that they hadn't imported for 50 years ago, and we had a fun.
Did you go to eat at that restaurant called the Floridita, which was Ernest Hemingway's favorite spot?
It was right on the water.
No, it was in the city.
We went to one that was in the city, but it was right on the water. There was it was cool. It was a good time. And then Royce Alger was the hit of that trip. He was quite.
He's always the hit of the trip. You know what we got to have Royce on our show. That
would be funny. I don't know if it is a podcast, so we can just talk about whatever the hell we want, I guess.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. It's not like we can do whatever we want.
There you go. So let's get back to Greco. So my man.
I went off on the sport. We talked about Lopez. Let's just talk about the American performance, which we haven't really.
And then we got to talk about the Croatian versus the Russian, the choke-up situation.
Oh God, I did watch that, Ben. I watched that about 12 times. I showed a bunch of my friends at work, so I'm ready to talk about that.
Well, here, let's just start with that. I put a technique video up on my Facebook page about why I'm pretty sure that the Croatian was attempting to choke him out before he flipped him over. Just from a jiu-jitsu standpoint, I can see what he was trying to do, and he was definitely trying to choke him. And, in my opinion, it's all the referee. The referee has to be more educated on what's going on in the situation, because it's actually significantly easier to choke someone out in a wrestling match than it is in grappling or jiu-jitsu or MMA, because the guy's trying not to flip over, right? So if something gets tight, he's just thinking, don't go over, as opposed to I don't have to defend for my life here because no one's trying to choke me out. But I'm pretty sure that Croatian guy was trying to choke him out. They should have stopped it significantly before they did. They gave him the 2 points for the turn. They initially gave him the fall. They took the fall away. I thought they should have taken it all away and give a damn penalty point because he was attempting a chokehold. I've seen a lot of Greco guys say it's a good move. It's legal. No, it's not freaking legal. You can't choke people out. And I posted the technique video if you want to watch my further opinion on Facebook.
Awesome.
What'd you think?
I didn't really. I don't follow the whole choking deal too much. All I know is the dude was out. The dude was out before he went over and got pinned. I thought the right call was made, and I think it's amazing his recovery. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, what's the legalities there? Having someone pass out and letting them wake up?
Well, that's what I was telling my buddies at work.
I didn't think you could do that.
Listen, if that happened in any other sport, if somebody in the Super Bowl, let's take the greatest event in American sports, Ben, the Super Bowl, and
actually, I have friends that would disagree and say WrestleMania is the most.
Okay, and that's entertainment. This is
okay.
So and a receiver flies across the middle, gets hit to the point where he's asleep for 20 seconds. Do you think he gets to finish the game?
No.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Wrestling's a different sport,
Yeah, it's crazy. I thought they were not going to let him get up. Wow. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Okay, so Thilke, same thing, loses in parterre. Bicep loses in parterre. America was not doing bad on their feet. Well, there's not a lot of scoring on your feet in Greco. It's a lot of pushing, but not a lot of scoring. There's just not openings for it, right? Because they can stay so tight, and there's not a lot of dynamics to it. And I talked to Joe Warren about this. I said, what's the deal here? And he said whenever they change it back to forced parterre, the foreigners have an advantage. That's what they've been doing since they were kids. But if they don't do forced parterre, the American guys can have an advantage because they can wrestle on their feet. And if they're not giving up takedowns, they don't have to defend that hard on bottom. So I thought that was an interesting perspective for Joe. He said his team in 2006 won the world championships in Greco. And at that point in time, there wasn't the forced parterre that there is today.
Yeah.
That was kind of his opinion.
What else did Joe say?
Oh, man, Joe went off. I just called and said, hey, Joe, I want to be a little more educated on what you think about Greco. Give me some stuff. And we ended up talking for 20 minutes about it. That was one. He said that since the Greco has done poorly the last few years, that the USOC's cut funding for them. So, a lot of the guys living in the training center can't even eat in the dining hall, and he thinks that's an issue just because, athletes are having to scrap a little harder to get funding to keep competing. And when an athlete has that in their life, they can't really focus exactly on nothing but their sport. They got to focus on outside things. And then another interesting thing he said was, 10 years ago, Momir, who's one of the good coaches out there, he said, he could hop on the mat and he could give us that foreign feel that we weren't really getting because we were getting the grinding and pushing just like Lidland's giving them now. But we got that foreigner feel from him. And right now that's not really happening. Momir got a little bit older, and they don't have another young foreign guy in there. So that was a few of the things that he said about the performance. But obviously he was very disappointed. When his team won the freaking world championships in 2006 to now, they won 2 and 4 overall in results. So not a very good performance by any imagination.
And this is coming from a guy who was on the world championship team in 07, which was
was it 07? I said 06. Was it 07?
07 in Azerbaijan. It was the same year I was on the freestyle team.
Okay, you took third that year or fifth?
Me? I got fifth.
Dang it.
I lost the time. Mazavi is pretty good for the Browns.
Oh, I cussed. I'm not supposed to cuss on this show. Oops. Where are we going next? Wait, hold on. I'm counting something. Give me like 10 seconds here. I got a trivia question for you.
Dead air time. It's the last thing we should be doing right now, Ben.
Okay, how many countries last year at the 2015 World Championships, how many former Soviet countries do you think won a medal?
Last year?
Last year. So it could be any style, men's, women's, or Greco.
So this is combined?
A medal in any style.
Well, there's only like 17 Russian countries.
There's 15 of them.
I'm going 12 or 13.
12 or 13. It was 11. So you were close.
That's a lot. And we should separate another episode on this because I've been in a text debate with Russ Hellickson, who's
Russ.
I've been in a text debate for days now about the dynamic of. Well, I mean, Russ and I both agree that we're not as good as we could be or should be, but just talking about the eras and the dynamics of what we have to deal with now with multiple Russian countries at the Worlds and all this stuff, we should save another episode for it because it's pretty interesting stuff, but it's harder now. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, I think it's harder now. I'm not saying we shouldn't be the best because we should be the best. We should be the best.
Okay, in Greco in 2015.
We should be the best.
In 2015 in Greco, how many of the top 10 countries were former Soviet countries?
4.
6.
Jeez.
6 of the top 10. How about in freestyle?
5.
4. So, I mean, yeah.
Freestyle, it was...
Freestyle, Russia's number 1.
Azerbaijan.
Georgia's number 3. Azerbaijan's number 5. And Ukraine's number 9. And in freestyle, in Greco, you got 1, 2, and 3 are all former Soviets. Number 1's Russia, 2's Azerbaijan, 3's Ukraine, 5's Kazakhstan, 6 is Belarus. So that's 5 of the top 6 countries in the world used to be Russia. I mean, all those used to be Russia. And then Kyrgyzstan is number 9. Think about that, Tommy.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy, right?
It's wild. I want to do another episode for it, Ben. I don't want to go off on this whole Russian thing. I want to get some data together and really have a real conversation. You had some good data, though, to get this going, but it needs to be talked about.
And I messed up. I did tell you on the phone it was 9, and I messed up because I was counting the 5th placers. So there was, in men's Greco, there was, in the Olympics, 7 different former Soviet countries won medals for a total of 11 medals. So I was wrong by a couple, but that's still quite a few when you're thinking there's only 6 weight classes, 7 different countries winning a medal. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's our Greco talk. What did you think about and because I know you watched it because you texted me, the I Am Jordan?
I thought it was incredible. I think Jordan Burroughs, for everything that this guy's been through, he's matured so much from the time he entered the international scene to where he's at now. I think he's a genuine person. I think his story is incredible. I love the editorial voice that Flow Wrestling has with telling the story about America's best athletes. I mean, these guys have improved the commercial viability of our best athletes and made them more viable assets to people in the wrestling community because of how they tell their stories.
Yeah.
And to take Jordan Burroughs from the time he was like basically mid-high school until the time he won his first world championship, that period of time is when he underwent foundational shifts in how he views the sport. I mean, his talent level didn't change. He was just as talented as he's 16 as he is now.
That is if talent exists.
That is if talent exists. But he just, I mean, to see what he went through, which is what a lot of people go through. I mean, the transformational shift that Jordan had mentally in the sport, a lot of people have done, but they just it hasn't translated to being arguably the greatest American wrestler ever. So to watch that shift at that level, that mental shift, anybody can relate to that. I had my kids were watching it.
Yeah.
And they were making comments about it that blew my mind. I'm like, this is a freaking teaching tool for my kids. And you know what I mean? I'm watching a video about Jordan Burroughs, so I think a lot about Jordan Burroughs. I always have. I think even more of him after watching that. And just kudos to Flow Wrestling. I mean, that was badass. And I don't cuss on our podcast like you do.
I rarely cuss. I try to keep it clean. On the MMA podcast, they kind of encourage me to cuss, but on this one, I try to keep it fairly PG because I know our listener base is fairly PG. Yeah, you know what? I loved it, obviously, and I thought letting Jordan kind of narrate his own story was very interesting, and it was interesting listening to how his mindset changed, because his mindset changed significantly, you know, over the course, like you said, over the course of that time. And one of the points I always make to our athletes at AWA here is that it's never too late. I mean, I go through the progressions I made year over year, and no one would have said I was going to be what I ended up becoming. But I mean, when we think about Jordan Burroughs, who is if not is already, is likely to become the best American wrestler of all time.
You think it's likely?
Yeah. If not, okay. he already is or he's going to be. I mean, one of the two. That's a fact. Yeah. So when you take the fact that he didn't place at the Beast of the East his senior year, he was 16-13 as a college freshman. Those aren't best ever numbers, Tommy. They're just not. I mean, they're not very good. I mean, hell, I did better than that as a freshman in college, and I lost 10 matches. So, you know, when you see someone who's that late in their career, I mean, we're talking 4 years later, he wins a world title, right? Amazing. 4 years later, and he was 16-13 as a college freshman. So, you know, when I'm giving the speech to kids like, hey, it's never too late, you can be whatever you want to be in the sport of wrestling, because wrestling's so dynamic and there's so many ways to win and blah, 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 blah. I mean, Burroughs is a very poignant example. A guy who's 16-13 as a college freshman and is likely going to be the best wrestler ever in America. It's crazy.
It's awesome, man.
I would have liked to. Now, if I can add in stuff, and hopefully maybe they'll do another piece on Jordan sometime, because we've talked about the ESPN 30 for 30s they're probably my favorite series. They're about the only thing I watch on TV. I would like to see in a Jordan Burroughs documentary like that. I would like to see some of the other American wrestlers, whether it's his era or just the best of the best, giving more context to what he's done. Because it's very easy for us as we're watching it, for you and I, who realize what he's doing, and you know, for kids to say, "Oh, he's the world champion." But to realize, like, what he's doing and how he's doing it is so freaking amazing. And then, it might be lost on people 10, 15 years from now. It really could be. So I think if you could add some voices, and I think that's a thing that 30 for 30 does. They always add some outside voices in to kind of add a dynamic to telling the story. Right. Because, just what we're talking about, 16-13 to an NCAA champion 2 years later. That doesn't happen, Tommy. It just doesn't.
Right. Well, what you said to me, I've never heard it said. 16-13 in college, 4 years later, world champion. That's amazing.
That's amazing. I mean,
that's amazing.
There's no other way to describe it. So, he said it, and you and I are going, well, good God, but that thought might not have the same meaning to a lot of other people. And I think one of the things 30 for 30 does great is that they add those contexts by having other people. So, if you had you and I, or a Brands, or someone else who's coaching or working at that era talking about that, it would be amazing. And even like Jordan's junior year, right? He wins the NCAA title. Michael Chandler was beating him twice in matches, right? And
kidding me?
Michael Chandler was a one-time All-American. But one of the amazing things about Jordan is Jordan always found a way to win. He just found a way to win. That's why he is who he is, right? He found the ways to win. But so we're talking about he wins a world title very shortly after that. I mean, it's not long after that he wins a world title. And Michael Chandler, as good of a wrestler as he was, he's still a one-time All-American when we're talking about the best Americans ever.
We're splitting hairs here, yeah. So the fact that he was losing to him twice it is of note.
Yeah, I think it's definitely of note. So just the progression he made year over year, I think obviously it was very entertaining getting to hear Jordan's words, because one thing else that struck me that's so interesting in there is like, I get it as I'm as a coach, sometimes you forget how much meaning something you can say to a kid has to them, right?
Right.
Because it's so interesting listening to Jordan, and right now we're like, well, he's the best wrestler ever, he's just there, right? But when he's younger, and he, the one time Manning says, "I expect you to be a national champ next year," and he said, that had such an effect on me. I said, I'm gonna be, like, wow, that's pretty powerful, isn't it?
It's amazing. I love what he said about Metcalf.
What, he was an animal or a machine or?
No, he said, Brett Metcalf, that dude was a machine. Then he goes, a lot of people want to wrestle a match. Not many people want to go to war.
Yeah, I quoted that on my Twitter. That was a great quote. Let me see. I got it.
It was great.
Let's see. I got the exact quote because I re-listened to it so I could get it right.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but Burroughs just gets it. He gets it. So I'm impressed.
He said, many men want a wrestling match. Very few men want a war.
And he said that generally speaking, but it was in reference to
Metcalf. Yep, definitely. Yeah, that was a great quote, wasn't it?
It was awesome.
That was probably.
I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm really excited for tomorrow.
So you think he's gonna wreck? So obviously, stupid ass IOC. Who am I thinking of? UWW. We got Burroughs and Gadeev second round again.
Quarters.
No. Oh, it is quarters. It's quarters.
Yeah, because it's top. So he's got the quarters. He's got Gadeev. Then he's got Azerbaijan in the semis. I think that's Hesanov.
Yeah. You know who got screwed is Abdurakhmanov, who he's from Clarion, remember, wrestles for Uzbekistan. He's taken bronze before, but he's got Gadeev first round, and Gadeev's going to lose to Burroughs, so he's going to be freaking out of the tournament. That's annoying.
Absolutely. Well, man, what else do we got?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? We can talk about other Olympic stuff. Give me your other favorite Olympic moments. How about the dive across the line?
So I talked to a number of people that know a little bit about tracker or whatever, and basically it's 50-50 in the people I've talked to whether or not it was smart to dive or not. A lot of people think that it actually slowed her down even though she won the gold.
Really?
She would have won it by even more if she didn't. But it's the first person to have their torso cross. So I guess that was...
So it is the torso.
It's the torso. The first part of the torso that crosses wins. And did you hear what they asked her?
No, I didn't.
They said, "Why'd you dive across?" And I thought she was going to say, "Well, my coach told me that I should do it if it's ever tight." She goes, "I have no idea. I've never done it, and I've never thought to do it."
But sometimes you just got to get it done.
She's like, "I just wanted that gold medal." I'm like, "Dude, it's awesome." So I just think it's a perfect illustration of just I'm not losing. Whether or not it was a smart choice, I understand, but just I'm not losing. And I thought that was cool. Real cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. Hey, what do you think about the Michael Phelps? Obviously, now listen, I'm going to say this. He's the greatest swimmer of all time. But now
I would also say he's the greatest Olympian of all time.
Okay, but so here's my question to you.
No, he does not deserve 23 gold medals.
It's the only sport where you can compete in that many events. There's literally no other sport.
It makes me mad, Ben. Listen, I think he's the greatest swimmer of all time, and I think he's probably the greatest Olympian of all time.
But how do you compare across those? A wrestler, for example, Jordan Burroughs can only win one Olympic gold medal. That's just all he can win. It's not possible for him to win another one. So
Michael Phelps went to 5 Olympics. He was the best swimmer in the pool for his sport in 4 of those 5 Olympics.
Sure. No, he's the best swimmer ever, for sure.
Right. So in a sport that has various strokes and distances, he's proven that he's so versatile in almost every aspect of the sport and dominant over such a long duration that I give him the best Olympian of all time. But I don't think that anybody should... It should be humanly impossible to win 23 Olympic medals.
It really should. It's really absurd.
I could see, I don't know, 2 or 3 medals per Olympics in the same sport because there's just different variables within the sport. I mean, wrestling, it's only 1 medal, which is kind of cool, to be honest. I know there's other sports, there's other ways to measure. You know what I mean? Sure. But there's way too many measurements in swimming, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
way too many measurements.
Let's see. He won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? 6 golds in Athens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in Beijing. He won 4 in London. But then you also got the relays in here.
Yeah.
Which are team events. I mean,
You got the medley relays.
I just feel like it's so hard to even like comparing swimming to track and field. Track and field, I would say, what's the most you can do? 3 probably. Is that?
I mean, Usain Bolt is the king of the 100 and the 200, and he wins the relay. So he's going to do 3, 3, 3 in the last 3 Olympics. I don't know how many Carl Lewis. He's probably the most diverse track and field athlete.
He won a long jump too, right?
Long jump, 100 meters, and maybe the 200. I'm looking up Carl Lewis. He was probably the most versatile track and field athlete, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
In the modern era?
Yeah. I mean, I would think, I'm not a track and field expert, but yeah, I would say.
Yeah, Carl Lewis has 10 Olympic medals.
Okay. Let's see what Usain Bolt has. He had 3 in Beijing, the 100, the 200, the 4x1. He had 3 in London.
He's got 8. Right?
He's got 7. So he's only won 1 and he's only
right.
Won
so
1
then he's got the 200 tonight, and then he's got the relay. So he'll have 9.
Yeah. So
and he'll have 9 golds.
So he's won 100% of what he could win. Right?
Yeah.
It's not really possible for a track athlete to do 3 distances. I don't think that's even possible.
Right.
So
I give Michael Phelps the greatest Olympian.
But how can you give it, say, over Usain Bolt? Say Usain wins the 3 out of 3.
I think Michael Phelps is more diverse within his sport. He was a great sprinter. He was great in distance, and he was great in multiple strokes. Like Usain, it'd be like
Usain doesn't get to do multiple strokes.
No, he could do the hurdles.
Oh, that is way different.
What do you mean? That's a different stroke. And he doesn't even choose to participate. I'm splitting hairs here, but
sure.
I think that there's, the 110 hurdles, the 100, the 200, the 400. Those are close enough, and he doesn't do them all. And I think Michael Phelps, 23 medals, though, is ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. Let's see what else we got coming on from this.
Do you think Usain Bolt is doping?
Ooh, you know what? I asked someone who is informed in the track and field community, and they said they thought 30 to 40% was their guess.
I've heard the same thing. That they think, my friend said 30, 40% ish in track is doping. Does that, in knowing that, let's assume that is correct. Do you think Usain Bolt is?
I mean, I'd have to say yes. I guess one of the questions I would ask, and wrestling I think is different because you have the evolution of the technical aspect of the sport, right? That's just what happens in wrestling. I figured out a new move, I start doing it, I have success. You figure out how to stop it, right? Mm-hmm. And then I figure out how to beat how you stop me, and I have a new move, okay? That's how wrestling goes. But track and field, the 100-meter dash has been the 100-meter dash forever. You start at a line, you run as fast as you can to the other side. How do the times keep going down? Right? I mean, I can get the distances because the training techniques have developed, but the 100-meter dash, it's so simplistic. You start, you go over there, and so how the times have keep coming down year after year after year, I got to think it's science. That's the only thing I can think of.
I think it's science. I think that we're perfecting them by 1/10 of a second. I mean, it's not like leaps and bounds. That's what was amazing about Usain Bolt 100-meter world record in 2009.
He blew it away.
Yes, statistically speaking, that record should not have been broken based on a history of how the 100-meter dash has gone down year over year.
Yep.
That record, that time wasn't supposed to be run for another 30 years.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Hey, Bolt just won the 200.
Bolt won the 200?
Just won the 200. Just won it.
Yeah. So, the 100-meter dash, that's one where I think, yes, there's probably doping going on. Because,
do you think there's talent?
There's an innate skill set in the 100-meter dash.
Oh, God.
Probably more than any other event in the whole Olympics. The 100-meter dash is defined by your innate skill set.
Oh, God. There we go.
It is. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say it's talent because I don't believe talent exists because it's hard.
This is unbelievable.
It's hard to define, but you have innate advantages.
We got to have an episode
But listen, the 100-meter dash is about as simple as you get. There's not very much toughness involved. There's not very much perseverance involved, persistence. A lot of those things aren't involved because it only takes 9 seconds. That's it.
All right.
What? You give up?
I give up.
Wow. Yeah. So I would say Usain Bolt has some very interesting innate advantages. 9.58. Wow, he's fast.
He is fast, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think we can wrap it up here, man.
That was a quick episode. We'll be back next week, talk about some men's freestyle, and then probably the week after that we'll do our top 10 college.
I think next week, Ben. I think since what do you? We can talk about this offline, but I think we should record Sunday night. What do you think?
This week?
Yeah.
Why's that?
Because I think we can chime in on the freestyle results and have people listen to it more on Monday and Tuesday than Thursday and Friday.
Sure. I'm good with that. Actually, my other podcast I'm doing Sunday also, so I'm good with that.
Cool.
All right. You guys have a great night. I hope you
Defense Soap. We love you.
Thank you. I'm sorry that we were so ADHD tonight. It happens sometimes. Enjoy your Olympics. Enjoy the men's freestyle starting tomorrow. See you guys later. See you, Tommy.
See you, man.
You are listening to the T. Rowan Funky Show, and it is brought to you by Defense Soap. Defend what you've built. Tommy, I got to say, I tried these products. He shipped me a box. I love them. I've had, if you know me, you know I've had ringworm issues for a long time. So I'm looking forward to putting these in my repertoire and hoping the ringworm does not come back ever.
No doubt, Ben. And to top that off, the company was created by wrestlers. Guy Seiko wrestled at Cleveland State University. His son was an All-American in Virginia, so these people really get it. They know what the wrestling community needs.